Welcome to ATDLE, Voices of Dual Language Education, the podcast where we share out dual language experiences. I am one of your hosts, Angelica Sandoval, and joining me is Gisel Barrett.
Hola, hola, amiga, ¿cómo estás? Feliz domingo.
Feliz domingo, aquí madrugando.
Las puse a madrugar. Welcome, tenemos ahora a Graciela y a Hilda, bienvenidas.
Hola. Feliz domingo.
Buenos días.
Sí. So each episode will talk with inspiring guests, share stories, dive deep into classroom ideas that will spark curiosity, inspire change, and bring laughter. Whether you're here to learn, be entertained, get inspired, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's get started.
Yay. So today's episode topic is back to school in dual language classrooms. We would like to welcome our special guests, Hilda Escamilla and Graciela Flores, our dual language educators from the Chula Vista Elementary School District. Welcome.
Ya las extrañamos.
I know. You're not new to our podcast, so you have been here before, and we welcome you all the time because you guys both have a wealth of experience, not only as educators out in the field, in the classroom, but also as ATDLE consultants.
Exactly. Yeah. And then this year you're also co-chairs at the conference, right? And they're your mentor teachers for San Diego State. Is that right?
Well, I'm not.
Yes. This year I have a student teacher. Yes. So I currently have I've done. Thank you for introducing me, Angelica, and thank you for inviting us back. Yes, mentor, presenter, consultant, everything. I'm on year 23. Let's not forget, I'm also a mom to two beautiful girls. I also have a dog, and I always forget about the husband. I'm a wife, but yes. I love coming back and chatting with everyone here and just sharing about all the strategies and all the fun that we have in the classroom. So thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
No, thank you.
Thank you for having me again. It's always so much fun to come in and chat with you all. It doesn't even feel any professional because we're comadres. So thank you for having me again. I was doing the math right now. I was like, wait, is it after a certain time you forget, but I'm going into my 29th year. I can't even believe, I feel like I'm a quinceañera. So 29th year, every single year in a bilingual or dual language setting. I too am a mom, a wife, and everybody's involved somehow in DI. All my three kids went through DI. I have two beautiful older daughters in college. I have my son in middle school. My husband too is a middle school DI teacher. So we are a DI family. And I'm also part of ATDLE, which I went in and they can't get rid of me anymore. The same consultant, presenter, conference, what is it? We planning committee. So and then todo lo demás, everything else. So thank you for having me again. I look forward to sharing some fun back to school.
Love your expertise and your resumes and everything. And you have a wealth of experience, and that's why you're on here, because both of you have a lot to share with our listeners and how to really start out their classrooms, right? At the beginning of the year, we're always, oh my gosh, what do I do first? Like, do you even have a checkoff list? Do you have this or that? How do I start? And there's a lot of brand new teachers out there in the field of dual language and already feel lost in the first 2 weeks of school. So thank you so much for joining us and giving us some tips. Now, what are your first steps to take the beginning of the school year? What steps do you take at the beginning of the school year to build a strong, trusting, bilingual classroom community? Like, I think we talked about it a little bit before we came on, where as at the beginning of the school year, you still have that mindset that you're teaching reading, writing, and this and that, and then you kind of start the school year with like reading, writing, testing, and then you forget to build that community portion in your classroom. So how do you guys do that?
So obviously that's the goal, right? We want our students to we want them to read, write, and speak in English and in Spanish. And as a fifth grade teacher, at the first couple of weeks, a lot of the things are very intentional and throughout the year as well. But one of the things I do the first couple of days and throughout the first couple of weeks, I introduce theme songs, and that's one of the ways that I introduce accountable talk. I also introduce the way we speak to each other, and the way we look at a text, basically. So I print out one of the songs I used this year was Die Die by Shakira, which, we kind of connected to to soccer. Obviously, everybody was talking about it. And so that was a good song because, it connected to goal setting, and it connected to how we want to reach our goals. And there's so many songs in Spanish, obviously, that I've used throughout the years. That again, we look at text, we look at language, and I take advantage of that moment because it's fun, it's music, and I take advantage of the expectations, how we look at the speaker and the way we speak to each other. I have these sentence frames already posted around the classroom, and I talk about how, throughout the year, we are going to be, looking at fifth grade level passages. And I talk about, even though we're fifth graders and we already know the language, we're still going to develop, and we're going to be reading passages in Espanol y en Inglés. And we're going to be speaking at this level, this higher level. And so, so I take advantage using this song, and they love it, obviously, because it's a song, and, it's, and so we talk about goal setting. And so that song has a powerful message. And so that itself, I create expectations too of, why we're here, why we're in fifth grade, and why we're, where we're heading. And so there's so many things that I just use that song. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, there's so many structures and routines that I start to practice throughout the weeks. But that's one thing that I take advantage of language, structure, and community as, we begin.
Yeah. Ida, do you have any suggestions?
Well, I have the smaller ones. I'm in second grade. I forgot to mention that earlier. But some of the things that I do at the very beginning, I do a lot of read alouds. So I do like Mi clase es una familia, and then I do, the name, the Crisantemo. It depends on the read aloud, and we always start with the first day jitters, and then, ¿cómo se llama? Qué nervios. And I start with that so that we can validate their feelings. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling, letting them know that they come in and your feelings are viewed. They're validated. It's okay to feel the way you feel. throughout at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're happy, you're excited. And so we talk about all of that, and we start the first few days with community circles. How are you feeling about this? And share about you. So, and then getting to know them. We do a lot of que te gusta, que no te gusta, and just little things like that. I want to get to know you. And and then like that, they know that I see them, not just that, tú eres número uno, you're number two, number three. So we want, instead of them being a number, which I also number them, I want to know who they are. So I already know that, this kid is like this and they need extra special care, or this one is great, and so on. So that is what I do at the beginning of the year, set up those building oh my gosh, I'm going to say it, building relationships with them, getting to know them. And then and them too, and then also, referring to the classroom rules. I know we have school expectations, but we also have classroom expectations, and and then we talk about being a community and building on that. So those are some of the things that.
Yeah. No, go ahead and finish up your thought. Sorry.
And then with our new adoption of that social studies weekly, I love the fact that those first few weeks are all about community and talking about how we belong to different communities. So that just kind of, it lets me know, oh, I've been doing okay in the past few years. So even though I'm in my 29th year, bringing that over, and this is a new curriculum, I'm like, you know what? It makes me feel good to know that I've been on the right track in starting the new year. And the kids are liking it, building that community, getting to know you, validating their feelings, and and strengthening their empathy, because that's very important from a very young age.
And how important is that, for the most part, in most dual language classrooms, we the kids know each other, right? They know each other from either they were in the same classroom in kinder, then they got separated in first, but they're back again in second. And in my situation, there's only one classroom per. So they know each other. So it's the nerves of them coming into meeting the new teacher. So for me, it's reverse. Yes, they know each other. Find someone who they know who they can find and what they did, because they hung out during the break, right? For the most part, they hung out, but they don't know me. And so for the first part of the first 2 weeks, they got to know who Maestra Sandoval is. Who's Maestra Sandoval? And what are her likes? What are her this? And it's not about me. And I'm still learning about them, but they're nervous about the teacher. Like, who is she? I've heard stories or not, or whatever, right? And so I think it's important for our listeners to even say, have them get to know who you are as a person. Like you have, if you have kids at home, you have kids too. Oh yes, I go to baseball practices too with my own kids, type of thing, so that the kids get to know and feel like, oh, you are human. You're not just the person that's up there at the front and getting to know, just, we only see you here, but we have real world experiences as well that we can share with our students. So don't be afraid to share about yourself with your own students, because they're coming in with those nerves, right?
For in third grade, what we do a lot is like the team building. So we do a lot of like team building activities. And I do like a little bingo where they talk about each other, and I like to see them asking questions in Spanish and asking me, like Angelica said, did you go to a baseball game? Like Angelica said, so they get to interact again in the target language, because they forget over the summer. So it's a good way for them to build again that classroom environment with all these team building activities. We have like Salvando Sam. We have building the biggest tower with a marshmallow. So they...
¿Qué es Salvando Sam?
Sí, Salvando Sam. ¿Qué es Salvando Sam? They have to, as a team, we have a gummy worm, and then like a little cup. And you put the gummy worm on top of the little cup, and what they have to do, and then like a type of lifesaver, but a little bit bigger. And then you give them paper clips. So each of them has a paper clip, and they have to save Sam and put the gummy worm inside the lifesaver. So you'll hear everyone screaming and yelling and trying to make it after probably like 10. So it's so much fun for them to do something different. So every day they do something like a team building. And then the building with the tower is you give spaghettis. I think it's like a couple like spaghettis, like probably 20, a string, and a marshmallow. And together they have to build the longest tower without the marshmallow falling. So that's so much fun.
Is it the mini ones?
No, it's the big one.
Oh,
the big marshmallow. So we do like a museum walk. We walk around, and some of them are having our good ideas. They use like their shapes. Some get frustrated, and then we talk about how even adults, it's difficult for adults to do something in such a limited time, and they start scrambling, but it's okay to kind of like have disagreements, and we have to learn. And so through third grade, we're going to learn how to work in groups. Sometimes we're not going to get along, and sometimes we're going to feel successful. Sometimes we're not going to feel successful, and it's okay because it's like the pit, right? It's going back to like the learning. What does the learning mean? You're going to sometimes feel lost. And in third grade, we're going to learn so many new things like multiplication, division, and maybe it's not going to be easy. So that's kind of like a leeway for them to learn about what learning means, right?
I love that. For sure.
You know what? I also, listening to what you're saying, I love that idea, he said, and I've done it before, but one of the things we also have to remember is making sure that activities like that are age appropriate, because I tried doing Salvando a Sam, the one with the lifesaver and the gummy worm. It doesn't work with it didn't work with second grade, and I tried it for a couple of years, and it just doesn't work. I think they were too young, so maybe by third grade and up, they're a little bit more mature. So keeping that in mind is important. What is age appropriate?
Definitely.
I want to try that now.
I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think our third grade team has been doing it since I started. So it was fun to see something where they could like have that team building and science and just trying to be creative. But like Hilda said, it has to be age appropriate, right? Because of like fine motor skills, maybe they don't even know how to like move the pieces. So make sure that you find activities that are
they'll eat it in my grade.
Yeah. And then that's something it's like you can't eat it because everybody's touching it. So it's like following instructions, right?
And there's always that kid that's not gonna care.
Oh my gosh.
So do you guys, I was gonna ask if you do anything in your classroom to support your students with a routine? Like how do they know? Do you have like certain places where they put their materials, or do you have something set up for them so they can feel successful and maybe organized? Do you do something like that in your classroom?
Yeah, I in the upper grades, by fifth grade, I have a team partner, and when they switch for English, we try to separate the languages, and so that way they're not to keep the organization very, the languages separated. I have these, and I'm sure everyone has some sort of bins, but I have in my classroom, I have this nice little counter space, I feel like, on the back. And so I can fit 30 something little bins, and they're all labeled. And so all the English materials are there. So that way when we switch, my English students have their English materials there. So they're not coming in with any of it. They're just coming in with their device and maybe their name tag and their own pencil pouch. My homeroom students have their Spanish materials in their desks. And we all know that our desks are very small space area. So then that's how I keep their materials organized. And then he said, I think it was your idea, Angelica, we bought some, those little Mexican bags. I still have those.
Mercado bags.
Yes, I love those because so those are the ones that we use when we switch classrooms. They use those to carry like the small little items. So that's where they place their name tags, because when we switch, they carry their name tags, they carry their little pencil pouch, they carry, what else do they carry in there? Their headphones, and then we have a little restroom pass. So just very small items, so that way they can switch. And again, in their English classroom, that's where they have their English materials. And so everything's separated, and we're not trying to get their English materials.
Where are my stuff? It's like, I'm going to my next class. And
everything's separated. And I just have absolutely loved the fact that, again, everything is, language is, again, all their spiral notebooks and composition, and everything's labeled too. And it's worked out for the last couple of years for me.
Those Mercado bags, we bought the big ones. Remember, he said we bought the big ones, and they would take their computer in the big bags. They're sturdy enough where they would take it in there. And so when they had to do computer stuff with their other teacher, then they already had their device with them, and they didn't have to go back and forth or whatever. But it's because in 4th, 5th grade, it's longer. It's half of your day, right? So sometimes you do need the device. And so I'd say device, you have to carry them, because they're, I don't know what, back in the day, I don't know if it was an iPad, but now we have like the devices are pretty heavy, and they don't last as long. And so I try to. Yeah, we didn't. No, we had the devices. No, we had the little novels.
Novels. No,
but I mean, whatever works for you. Everybody has different managing systems, but that's a great thing. That's great to know, because there's a lot of our teachers that are going to be switching. And how do I manage that? How do I manage, do I switch? Do the kids switch? It all depends on your partner and you and the set of kids, right? Sometimes it worked where the kids switch, and sometimes it didn't. Like the teachers had to switch because it took way too longer for, the kids to get it together.
I think I've done it both ways. There was a point where teachers, we would switch. And then this year, I think for the last 3 years, I think we decided to go back into our original way. And it just gives students a break, get up and then just
to move around.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think that's a great point, because we started switching midway through last year. My partner and I, the kids started switching because she and I were the ones that used to switch. But right now so far it's working. But how do I set up my routines? Well, for me, I also have very small desks. And mine are triangular. So my students' desks are triangular. So it's not like they can just put their materials in there nice and neat. They have to kind of put it at an angle. And not only are they triangular, but they're very small. So I invested some years back, maybe I want to say about 10 or 12 years ago, I bought those sturdy Lakeshore magazine ones, and I still have every single one. I know they've doubled in price, but I'm so glad I bought them, and they last, and they don't really get dirty. But anyways, that aside, in that box, I do number them, like Graciela, I also have the counter space, but I put them against the wall, and in there they put all of their like folders and notebooks, and folders, notebooks, journals, everything goes in there. That way it doesn't get all messed up, because some kids shove everything in their desks, and in their desks,
black hole.
I know, right? And in their desks they put pencil boxes, headphones, And any person, if they want to bring their own personal little pouches or whatever, that's their personal space. Like that, I can look in there and there should be no papers in there. The only thing are boxes and headphones. That's why I don't have a place to put headphones, because they're in their desk. And that has worked for me for the past 10, 12 years since I bought those. And then when I switch with my partner or when they come over, it's for me, it's only 1 hour because I'm in second grade. When they come in, there's her students sit on the table. So I have 6 tables, table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have 6 boxes. Because I only have 20 some second graders, I have additional 6 where in there it's labeled by table. And since I do science with my partner's students, like they're in there, I put their science magazines and their science notebooks, their crayons, their pencils, so that when they come in, one student is in charge of getting the box, putting it there, and then they distribute their materials. And then like that, they're not, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? And they're not touching my students' items because they're in their boxes but my science, the English students only have it in one. And it fits in there because it's only a few items in it. And so far, I like that because rule number 2 in my classroom is mantén tu área limpia y organizada. That's always been one of my, because organization. Yeah, because of the switching, we don't want to lose anything. And so far, it has worked. And I've taught the students how to stack everything and put it in the box before they put it away on the counter.
And that's so important. Like the first 2 weeks is to really teach them those routines, right? Like, okay, we're going to go to English class. Okay, we're going to go to recess. We're going to go to lunch. What do? Clean up your area. Nadie te va a limpiar tu área. Tú lo tienes que hacer. And they look at me like, what? What do you mean?
Yo no soy tu mami ni tu criada.
No, tu mami no está aquí. Tú vas a tener que limpiar y tenemos que respetar nuestros materiales. Yo siempre digo, mami y papi gastaron mucho dinero, muchísimo dinero en las gomas y lápices, y ustedes para que los tiren en el suelo, ay no. And then they're like, ay no, más pobrecitos. I always do that. Make them feel guilty.
And then when
guilt trip.
When I see one student doing it for another, le digo, no, no. Esa persona tiene que aprender a recoger y organizar sus materiales. Tú no vas a estar ahí siempre para ellos. Ellos tienen que hacerlo por sí mismos. And they're like, what? No, sí, cada quien está encargado de su propio espacio y materiales. Así de que, pero sí, very important to set those routines at the very beginning, because I'd rather spend the first 2 weeks how to line up, how to put things away, look at the rules, look at the expectations, because like you said way at the beginning, Angelica, if you don't set that up, you're going to have issues later on. We're going into week 5 already? Oh my goodness. So by week 4 last week, we were barely starting to assess beginning of the year. Like all that fluency, because we spent the first 20 days or the first 2 weeks, this is how you do this is how you do that. So those 2 weeks are totally worth it. Otherwise, the whole year will just collapse.
And you know when they're going to forget? When they have a substitute. They forget everything. They forget how to put away their boxes, how to clean up after themselves. Because I just had my first substitute just last week. And when I came in the morning, I was like, okay, something's not clicking. It's like it made me reflect. Something's not clicking. Why is it that I'm the one who needs to be the reminder when this should be their own? They should know what the routine is every single day. We do it every single day. So I don't, I have to go back and reflect.
You just reminded me, Angelica, because normally, I mean, we don't. I was out today early on in this beginning of the school year too, and then I was so worried, and so I happened to be there in the morning. So the substitute teacher was there, and so I introduced. I always tell the students the day before. Sometimes I tell them, but this time I was there the morning of, and I introduced the word in Espanol, anfitrión. And so I told them that if anyone knew what that word was.
Mhm.
And so I kind of gave them the spiel about, when you have a guest, and she's our guest teacher today in our classroom. So when you have a guest at your home, what does your mom have you do? And so everybody, raises their hand.
I like that.
My mom has me, clean my room. And what does your mom tell you to do? Oh, be on your best behavior, because your tia's gonna come to your, to my house. Your cousin's gonna, see you, and then you better be on your best behavior, because, they're gonna be a guest in our home. And so that was kind of like the message I was giving them. And I said, well, we have a guest teacher today. And that's what, you have to be. Our guest teacher doesn't know how things work, especially, even though I gave her all the notes, I gave her all the, the subs notes that she needs to have, a good day. She might not know. And so you are the experts. So I'm going to ask her tomorrow. Anyway, so that it was kind of, that doesn't happen normally. You're not necessarily there on the day of. But normally I do have that conversation the day before. If I tell them, or if I, normally I don't know if I do tell, if I say that.
That's a great idea, though. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
I do use that. Anfitrión. ¿Cómo se dice anfitrión en inglés?
Anfitrión, yeah. And then somebody
like
will say,
host?
a host.
Like a host, yeah.
Anfitrión. And nobody knew that word. So I introduced that word to them on the
You should start using it. I remember a lot of that, Angelica, when I started teaching, Angelica was my partner teacher, and she would always say that routines, you have to have a routine every day. It has to be the same. So like you said, when someone comes in, the kids know what they're doing. In my classroom,
they run the classroom.
I have a teacher of the day. Entonces, every day the teacher of the day has to do certain things. It's the same student. They introduce the junta matutina for social, emotional. They line up the students. They make sure. We also have classroom economy. That's something that also with Angelica we did. So they know that the teacher, the substitute teacher, will have someone that will support them throughout. So on Friday, they have a substitute on Monday because we have training. I showed them, this was the first time that I did this, but I showed them my lesson plan. So I went through my lesson plan, like, okay, remember at the beginning, what do we do? Junta matutina. Okay, check. And what do we do next? Okay, we do our language arts. Okay, check. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go and take out your benchmark book. Remember? Okay, do you remember your benchmark? Okay, ¿qué sigue? Sigue matemáticas después del recreo. ¿Qué van a sacar? Oh, nuestro libro. Ok, muy bien. ¿Qué sigue después? Sigue escritura. Vamos a hacer escritura también. So you have that routine, and you have that you're not going to change. It's going to be the same thing. So the students know what they're expected to do. And just enseñando, like showing them, I'm like, I've never done this, but this is what they're going to do. So it's not something new. They're going to follow what we've been doing. So I think having those lessons, also like a template with your lesson plan for new teachers. If you have a template, just reuse it, and then you just change whatever that you are teaching for the day. I just like make a copy, and then I have everything set up on my lesson plans, emergency numbers, procedures, everything is there. So every time that you make a lesson plan, it's already there for you.
That's great to know as well. And as we think about these structures, expectations, and routines for our kids, it can be overwhelming for our kiddos too. And those are all important too. Everything's important, because then the rest of your year is going to go smoothly, right? We hope it's going to go smoothly. One of the things that I do want to mention is the strategies and activities that you do in order to recognize our kids with different backgrounds and what they come in with. I know we just had this conversation about, we started our social studies unit and we talked about community, and we talked about that all of us come from different communities and we all have different backgrounds. And then one of my students says, yo soy colombiana. And I'm like, oh, okay. Y luego, that's how it started the conversation. Y yo soy filipina, yo soy, y nada más, oh, ¿sabes contar? Porque yo sé contar en Tagalog nomás hasta 5. And nada más, ¿sabes contar Tagalog? Dice, sí. Y and she started going and I'm like, oh, wow, yo también. And so she was like, and I'm y a tu abuelito le dices Lolo, Lola, sí. And so that you can see there how I'm acknowledging them, right? Because I don't know them. I don't know them.
You're making a connection with them.
Exactly. So what kind of other strategies or activities can our newer teachers or any teacher do in our classrooms to really get to know their students and where they already come from, and they have so much to share already? And it just feels good. It's not in a lesson plan book, it's not in your curriculum, right? But it's something, it's necessary for us to do as educators.
I think I loved how Hilda mentioned earlier about read alouds, and even in the upper grades, I love read alouds. And I use the book El día en que descubres quién eres. And that book talks about, there's a lot of good examples in there, but one of them, there's one in the character, she's a lot of the characters talk about how they're traveling to different places, and the main character is hearing her classmates go to Paris and I don't know, different around the world. They're all coming back from the summer and they're in the classroom sharing their experiences, and she didn't travel. And so the author is talking about how different families come from different backgrounds, and she sort of feels kind of left out. And so she thinks about how she doesn't necessarily have, in the end, she doesn't necessarily have to leave her house in order to share her experience and share that she also has a story to share, and it's and there's value in her story. And so it's a very powerful message that I love that book. And so from that book, I try to connect it to our third pillar, because during our SEL last year, I started SEL in Espanol. Normally, we would have, when we would switch, we would do our community lessons during English. And so this last year, I decided to change. When we changed our language minutes, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do encuentro. That's what I call it, encuentro, in our community time, and start in Spanish. And so usually I have questions for the students and ask various questions. And one of them, again, we talk about family, we talk about traditions, we talk about how different ways where students can connect. And so I pair students up, and then every week they talk about, again, different topics. And so going back to that third pillar, making sure that they're again communicating in Spanish, and again practicing that social conversation. And the other part, which again I'm loving, is connecting it to how can I express my identity, how can I talk about my family, how can I talk about my traditions. And again, going back to that idea of I'm practicing the target language.
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the things that I've started doing too, just to kind of piggyback, is getting to know the child itself, like their likes, their needs, their wants, and that would benefit me in the long run, right? Because then I know how I can kind of finagle into like what they like and use that to my advantage as far as teaching, you know.
Yeah.
So right now they're sending me videos through Class Dojo on the stuff that they do outside of school. So they're like, yeah. So, and I just put it under the document camera. I don't download it or anything. I'm like, mira, Lily está jugando basquetbol. Mira qué buenísima es en el baloncesto. And then I put it under the document camera and they're like, oh, and then all of a sudden I got 10 videos the next day, but I share them, right? I do. And that's during our SEL because then they feel valued. They feel like, oh, my teacher sees me. My teacher knows that I like baseball too. And, you know, that's why I've been getting all these baseball cards almost every single day from my kids because they know I love it. And so they bring it and they're like, pues yo también, yo soy pitcher. And I'm like, ¿eres lanzador? Oh, enséñame a ver cómo le hacen. And they're all, you know, they show me and it's so cute to do that. But it's beyond the reading. It's beyond the writing. You're really getting to know your kids. I know that you had something to add with that too.
No, yeah. I had students do that similarly last year, but instead of the videos, parents would just send me photos of, oh, look, they won a tournament and they were doing this, or we were here with celebrating a birthday party. And then, you know, some of your students came over. So, and then I also share them on the screen. I'm like, oh, mira, vamos a celebrar a este niño porque ganaron su torneo. And so we talk about that. But another thing that I do at the beginning, which I just remembered, I haven't sent it. But right now that we're talking about communities, is I do send like a survey to the parents and I ask them questions. What are your child's likes and dislikes? What are they good at? And how does your child respond better? What do they respond well to? And I wanted to add, you know, what are some celebrations you would like to share that you do at home so that we can acknowledge them? Because we have a large population of Filipinos in our community, in our school, but I know we have others, you know, like I know we have a family from Panama, and I'm sure. And when we do that, we're gonna have next week. What is it? What do we call that internet when they're flying the flags? Help me out.
The Parade of Nations.
Parade of Nations, where parents can sign up and we acknowledge the country of where they originate from, and then our school buys them that flag, and then they walk around. And I think last year we did it. Yeah, last year, and then this is PTA and community schools doing it, and they did it last year, and they were just walking around with the flags. But I think this year they're gonna make it bigger. So that in itself is, I think, really cool, and bringing it back to the classroom. Oh, I saw that you were carrying the flag of, you know, like Colombia or whatever country it is. I don't know that yet, so I need to make sure that I get on it so that I know which countries to prepare myself for, so that I can say something about it, and then they'll, you know, have that pride of who they are and their backgrounds are and where they come from. So do a little bit something. So we'll see how that goes.
Me encantan todas sus ideas.
Yeah. And sometimes the conversation with students comes naturally. Like you're learning something from the curriculum and all of a sudden they bring up something from home. And then it snowballs, right? It starts, everybody's chiming in about their experience and whatever. So take advantage. Don't say, oh my gosh, I only have 10 more minutes before we go to recess and then you guys are sharing. It's like, no, really take advantage to get to know your kids and just stop it. Just stop and have them have a conversation over what really interests them. And because then you're going to get more out of them, because you're really listening to that. I love all these ideas. I like this. And Celebration of Nations, is that what it is?
No, it's Parade of Nations, right?
But it's a celebration. Yeah, it's a celebration.
And then the parents, like last year, like the parent, like they had the flag bearer. They would totally dress up.
Yeah,
they would. It's kind of like se te sale la lagrimita. It's so beautiful, you know. And
oh my gosh, I love that.
Anyways, I thought it was cool. So I'm looking forward to this year's, which is next. I believe it's next, not this week, but the following week, week 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like it how they're doing it at the beginning of the school year too. It's like acknowledging everyone and how we're in a community and everyone is welcome.
Sí.
Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Ay, amigas, well, it's been over, I think, our 30 minutes de platicar. How do you
I
feel?
know, I love it.
Oh my gosh. I could go
Yeah.
on and on.
Podemos estar platicando muchísimo.
I know. Yeah, if it would be one thing, think about one advice that you would give a new dual language educator. What advice would you give them? Like they're brand new, they just got out of their teaching credential. They are in the middle of their classroom and they are looking at the stacks of curriculum in the corner, leftover books from the previous teacher in the corner, a dusty room, what, and then bare walls. I mean, okay, maybe two pieces of advice.
Oh my God.
After all that, because we've experienced
It's stressful.
that.
Yeah.
We've totally experienced that, walking in and híjole, ¿qué hago?
Yeah. I think that first of all, they need to take a deep breath. Inhala.
Get some help.
Exhala. That's advice number one. No, no. One thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Focus. What I started doing is I write it on the whiteboard. I'm like, well, these are the things I need to do for the next couple of prep days. Do one at a time and finish that. Then go to the next one. Don't do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit, because you're never going to finish because you're going to be sidetracked. So just one thing at a time when you're beginning, like to set up your classroom. And then once you start, the school year begins, again, focus on one subject, maybe for the quarter or whatever, whether you're in a quarter system or a semester system. Don't try to do everything at once. Focus on one subject, like get really good in guided reading or in writing. And then because you're going to have next year to focus on another subject, you want to get really good and then do the rest. I'm not saying to ignore the rest, but just get good at one thing. That way, next year, writing is done. Okay, let me focus on math, or whether you're doing math first, just focus on one thing at a time, one subject at a time. Because if you try to cover it all, I always tell this at the New Teacher Institute, I always tell the teachers, don't try to cover it all. Because if you try to cover it all, you might as well cover it with dirt.
Oh, girl, I like that.
So one thing at a and again, quality, not quantity.
Yes.
Okay.
Good advice.
Yeah. I agree with Hilda. You can't do it all. I mean, you can't be on the same pace as your English counterparts. So don't worry about if your English counterparts are ahead of you, you're never gonna catch up.
No.
So don't worry. Don't look at it. Just
yeah.
What did you
I like I have to remember that.
1, 2, 3.
I'm suffering right now with math. I'm like, oh.
So always told myself I would rather focus on reading one text and making sure that my students understood and we would analyze and make sure, rather than trying to read three passages just to speed through y no entendieran. They would never understand and could never dissect it or get.
I love that advice. The pacing. It's totally different in DI. Yeah.
So that's one. My number two, and I tell this to every single first year and second year teacher, and I wish I would have heard this from someone from year one. And I think right now I have my people. And I think that's the message I say. Find your people, find your circle, or find that community that will lift you, because this work is hard. It's not easy. And even after year 23 right now, I still find myself trying to figure things out. And I still text my friends, my comadres, I mean, not that I don't, because I'm on year 23, I don't say that I know it all. I'm still trying to figure things out. And so there's moments where you're trying to figure things out, whether it's your induction mentor, whether it's your mentor from student teaching, whether it's a colleague, or just find that person, or find that person, that team, whether it's within your school, whether it's another school, anyone that you can reach out and say, hey, what do I do here? Or how do I talk to this parent? Or what message how can I respond?
Yeah.
Because we can't do it alone. There's no way we can do this alone. And that's my other one.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love all these ideas, and just pinpoint and slow down.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Pinpoint and slow down.
I just remember just beginning of the school year and having my family, my grandma, my cousins, like if you have, like Graciela said, your support to help you with little things, because you'll be cutting and laminating and little things that take time. And if you have that support, reach out and don't be afraid to ask for help. And no te de miedo to reach out and say to your best friend, hey, do you have 20 minutes? Can you help me with this? O sea, reach out to people. And I think because
it's a village.
It's a village, exactly.
Yeah.
You need a village. You can do it by just yourself. Así que when you start, it's like, okay, primo, I'll give you $5. I remember it's like, I'll be asking my cousin to help me out. Now that I have a routine, it's like, okay, now I can do certain things. But at the beginning, I remember it's like just asking everyone to help me out. So don't be afraid to ask.
I remember asking my nieces and nephews, and they would come over and organize my library. If you have a library, you may not even have it. Don't worry about it. But anyways, they would have it. I would just say, I'll buy you carne asada fries after, right? They were there because they were teenagers, right? So I want to really thank you, Graciela and Hilda, for sharing your experiences on how to prepare for the new school year. I know a lot of our listeners have already started their new school year, but they're pretty much, if we have all been teaching over 20 plus years, we're still overwhelmed, and and know that is a normal feeling, and just acknowledge that feeling, that it is normal, especially in dual language education. Like Graciela, you've said, it's hard. It's very difficult to start out a classroom and not know the percentages and what am I switching and what am I doing for switching and this and this and that. That is all normal feeling that we still feel at the beginning. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing and spending your morning with us, with Gisel and I and the whole ATDLE community.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. And everyone, if you're listening, if you want to share out with us, share with Hilda, share with Graciela or Angelica, share your thoughts, let us know.
And
gracias a ustedes.
No, let us know how we can find you. How can
yes, Instagram, Maestra Flores.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook as well. And where am I at?
Threads? Is it Threads? Yeah.
All of those. Instagram. Yeah. Awesome.
No, yeah, me too. I'm also Maestra Escamilla. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. I think I don't post as much on Threads, but I think whatever I post in one, it'll share it into the other. And I want to say I'm on TikTok, but I haven't posted there much.
Yeah. But you always share wonderful. Yeah, share wonderful class ideas. So that's
Facebook
great.
and Instagram are my go-to. Those are the two biggest ones. But I'm Maestra Escamilla on all of them.
Yes. Great. Awesome.
Thank you. And so before we go, we would like to share that ATDLE now offers a new self-paced asynchronous courses. So we have one being the fundamentals of two-way and dual language education and boosting reading fluency for dual language educators, who is presented by Angelica. So follow us to learn more. And also a huge thank you to our listeners and everyone working to strengthen dual language education.
We appreciate your time and attention. Let us continue leading with language and advancing our learning. We hope you will join us for our next episode. Thank you.
Gracias.
Be sure to follow us and connect using our newsletter and social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And shout out to our partners: Shunya Kids, Be Readers, Avant, CALSA, California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators, SDCOE, San Diego County of Education, Dual Language Education of New Mexico, and Meta Multilingual Educators Transforming Achievement.